Hi everybody. So we've looked at some product design. Haven't looked at too much environmental design, but you know that's an aspect of design as well. Let's really take an in-depth look at the principles of design for you, the artist. So what are they again? Well, the principles of design, going back to that chef metaphor, they're the way that we put together the elements of art. The same way that a chef puts together the ingredients, whether it's mixing or folding or, whatever, sifting, those kind of things. The principles are the same to art as methods are to a chef. Okay. For our purposes, there are going to be 8 principles of design we'll focus on. These are the ones, and there's no rhyme or reason other than I just have these posters hanging in my bricks and mortar classroom. They're the ones I'm most familiar with. Depending on which resource you look at, you might have up to 13 principles of design. Some of these, like horror vacui, that is a strange principle, but for some designers, it is very important. Horror vacui, just so you know, it means the fear of a wide open space so that the design is overdone, okay? So really, it goes with simplicity. It's the opposite of simplicity, which some people also think is a principle. But let's simplify things. Let's just make, for a 2D Art 1 class, let's just focus on these 8 principles of design. Okay, the first one is balance, and we've spoken about this going back to week, 14 with our radial symmetry project, our printmaking project. 3 kinds of balance: asymmetrical. Our bodies are symmetrical. If we would stand with our arms straight out like Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man and our legs, shoulder width apart, we are looking straight ahead. We are symmetrical. If, however, I would stand on one leg and put one hand behind my head, all of a sudden my body becomes asymmetrical in shape. Okay, so very easy to change. And of course the radial balance you know about. Let's take a look at this. So real quick, what kind of balance is illustrated in this painting called Oriental Poppies by American artist Georgia O'Keeffe? What kind of balance? Asymmetrical, symmetrical, or radial? Let's see. If you said that it is symmetrical, you are correct. It's not exact, it's not mirror image, but the painting is pretty much split down the middle. There are 2 dark centers with, this yellow and orange kind of flower leafy thing going on, and then there's the red background. So it is basically symmetrical. How about this one? What kind of balance is shown in James Whistler's painting? It's called, it's more commonly known called Whistler's Mother, if you've ever seen this, but the formal name of this painting is Arrangement in Gray and Black, Portrait of the Painter's Mother. Anyway, what kind of balance is shown here? Let's see. If you said asymmetrical, you are correct. If I would flip the right half over onto the left half, they would not line up. But they are visually balanced because there are big black shapes both on the left and on the right, and they sort of balance each other out. They are asymmetrically balanced, okay? Going back, let me go back here to that idea of me standing on one foot with a hand behind my head, okay? I might not be symmetrical. I would be asymmetrical, but I would still be balanced, right? I wouldn't be falling over. I can stand on one foot, okay? So same thing here. This painting is basically standing on one foot, but it's still balanced. Okay, this should be a very easy one for you. What type of balance is shown in this stained glass artwork? The rose window from Notre Dame in Paris. If you said radial, you're right. Anytime there's a circle or circular shape, it's going to be radial balance. Okay? Let's take a look at this second principle of design, contrast. It's the difference between 2 things. You've seen this probably in your language arts papers. Compare and contrast this poem with this story. Okay? You can contrast color, shape, line, pretty much anything as long as you have two things. So let's look at Rembrandt's Belshazzar's Feast. Okay, Rembrandt van Rijn, Belshazzar's Feast. How does the artist use contrast in this work? What do you think? If you said that there is contrast between the light and the dark, between even the colors of the red on the lower right compared to the dark up in the upper left, okay? There's a contrast, whatever shape here. We have big, simple shapes in the background with very ornate shapes of this person with the turban on, okay? All kind of things that you could contrast here. But it's mostly going to be the difference between, you know, light and dark, color to color, shape to shape, line to line, okay? Emphasis. What is dominant? What really draws your eye, and try as you might, you cannot get away from it. For example, in Kandinsky's composition number 7, what is the focal point? Where does your eye keep going? If you said that it was this purple centered, black ringed, orange peachish kind of circle in the upper left, you are absolutely correct. The focal point does not have to be smack dab in the middle. Okay, we learned this using our rule of thirds and our divine proportion, correct? Okay. Try as you might, there's so much stuff going on here. I really want to look at all these little shapes and things. My eye just keeps being drawn back to that upper left corner. Okay? How about this? Francisco Goya's The Shootings of May 3rd, 1801. Okay? What is emphasized? Where is the area of emphasis? Where does your eye keep traveling back to? Okay, if you said it kept going back to this person with his hands up, in the white, bright shirt. It's almost like a spotlight showing on this, okay? Goya, he wants to focus your attention to this. So this is emphasis at work. Notice there are color, there's shape, there's texture, there's line, there's form. All of these elements of art are present, but how are they put together? Through emphasis, okay? That's the principle. All right, variety. It's a spice of life, right? It's an assortment, okay? If everything was the same size, that's a totally different principle, which is repetition, okay? But let's talk about variety, which is difference within a single work. Go back to Kandinsky's painting. How is the artist showing variety in this work? If you said that there's a difference in the size of the shape, right? If there's some overlap, if some of the shapes are alone, some of them are darker, some are just lines, some are filled in. Different things going on. That's all that means, okay? Unity or harmony. Some resources will tell you that these are two different principles of design. For our purposes, let's put them into one just to make our lives a little simpler, okay? All right. Why do you think that Paul Cézanne used to keep this painting, Mount Victoria, unified, harmonious, working together? How did he do it? Okay, he did it through color, right? It's an analogous color palette, greens and blues and blue-greens, a little bit of yellow, okay? By using related colors, this piece works as a whole. Nothing stands out. Nothing is truly emphasized, right? So much that it contrasts with the rest of it. It all blends together in a very pleasing arrangement. Proportion, the scale, how big one thing is to another. And this artist, okay, Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio, one of my all-time favorites. How is he showing correct proportion? If you said that, you know, the size of things makes sense, right? The leaves make sense to the fruit that's around them. The grapes are proportionate to the plums in the basket here on the left. They're proportionate to the bigger squash, okay? Nothing is too big, nothing is too small. It all looks very realistic because there's correct proportion. Sometimes artists play with proportions to get a new idea across, like this Giacometti sculpture, okay? The proportions of these figures are elongated and very, very thin, very fragile looking to get the idea across of not just how different that would be than if he would have used correct human proportions. Very, very, very different. Okay, rhythm. It's like the beat of a song, okay? If you can look at a painting and see the same things in different places, it goes with movement, but it's a little bit different, okay? As in this Escher print, M.C. Escher, you see same elements repeated over and over again, and there's a sense of rhythm. Blackbird, bird, bird, fish, 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 okay? Same sizes throughout, okay? So it gives a nice sense, almost if this were musical, you could almost, you know, sing a song to this painting. Okay, movement. It gives the illusion that a stagnant, static, two-dimensional piece of work is moving, okay? For example, of course, our man, Vincent van Gogh, right? Look at that sky. If you stare at that sky long enough, you get the sense that the wind is blowing and maybe it's clouds and the moon is shining and this is all this swirling stuff over top of this very sleepy, peaceful little village. How, okay? So I pretty much answered that question for you, but concentrate how your eyes bounce from one star to another, okay? It's the movement of the viewer's eyes, the way the artist makes the viewer's eye move. That includes movement as well. How about pattern? Everybody knows patterns. You could look around you right now and I bet you find all kind of patterns in the carpet, in the walls, in your clothes, whatever, okay? How has the artist used pattern to create this mask? What elements did they use to create pattern? Pretty easy, right? Line, shape, color. How about this one? What would have happened here? How does the pattern add to this painting here? What if the artist had chosen to include a solid background behind this reclining figure? It would definitely not have been the same painting, right? This pattern gives interest, and it's a real contrast, isn't it, to the, you know, bigger shapes of color that make up the reclining figure. Okay, repetition. We're getting to the last ones here, guys. It's a way of combining art elements so that they're used over and over again. How about this drawing here of shopping carts? I love this drawing. Okay, same subject over and over again. It gives a sense of importance, doesn't it? Why just draw one shopping cart when you can draw 7 shopping carts? Okay, how about this mola, created by the Cuna people of Panama? All right, how does it show repetition? What elements of art does it use? If you said color, line, shape, you are correct. Okay, again, to sum up, what are the 8 principles of design? See if you can name them. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's see how many you got. All right, thank you for listening. Let's talk now about the major themes in the visual arts through the years. Bye.